The Prussian philosopher Immanuel Kant presented a moral theory that presented moral requirements as what he called a categorical imperative. The purpose of this video is to give a sense of Kant's theory and to apply it to the morally problematic act of lying. Kant argued that morality consists in a rule that we apply to ourselves, a rule that a rational person would choose for themselves and for others. He came up with a number of ways to express that moral rule. The version I want to discuss here is the following. Quote, "So act that you treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, always at the same time as an end, never merely as a means." End quote. I want to note that this prohibits using people merely as a means. We use people as a means all the time. If you hire somebody to paint your house, or you go to a restaurant where you expect the cook to prepare your meal, you're using people as a means. That's fine. The moral problem, as we shall see, is treating somebody merely as a means, as nothing but a tool to be used as you see fit. Rape involves using another person's body for one's own interests, without a regard for the fact that one is dealing with a person whose body was not put on this planet for the pleasure of the rapist. Slavery treats people as farm machinery. To illustrate this theory, I want to look at what it says about lying. When lying to somebody, the liar sees the victim as a tool, as something that can be used to serve the interests of the liar without regard to the victim as a person. The liar subverts the reason of the victim. In fact, that's generally the goal of lying. We know that if a person were to apply reason to the evidence, they'll choose a course of action that the liar doesn't want them to take. So the liar provides the individual with false beliefs to subvert reason and direct the victim's action along the course that suits the liar. Imagine if I were to put a chip in your brain, allowing me to control your body from my laptop. I could run your body like an avatar in a video game. Using my game controls, I could have you enter a bank, pull out a gun, demand that the money be placed in a sack, escape, and then drop the money off where I could find it. That would be treating you as a means only, as a tool to be used to serve my interests. Imagine instead that I plant in your head the beliefs that the money in the bank was being stored for some evil purpose, a part of a child sex exploitation ring, for example. And if you can get the money, this would help to shut down that operation. So, in order to save children, you went to the bank, take the money, escape, and give it to me at the first opportunity. It's a different cause, but the same effect. I'm still using you for my ends. In this light, I want you to consider the plight of the zombie ant. There's a type of fungus called a cordyceps. When this fungus infects an ant, it takes over the ant's body. It causes the ant to climb a plant. When the ant finds a suitable location, it then grabs on tight, and then it dies. The fungus then grows out of the ant's body and releases its spores. From this altitude, the spores spread out and drift down, some of them landing on other ants, and the affected ants then climb the nearest tree, find a suitable spot, clamp on, and die. We have here a case in which one living organism uses another as a means only. The interests of the ant are sacrificed, and the ant is caused to serve the interests of the cordyceps fungus instead. And lying works much the same way. The liar plants what we might call a belief virus in the brains of the victims. Infected with this virus, the victim believes that they are serving their own ends, realizing something that they value, when in fact they're often sacrificing what they value and serving the interests of those who infected them. The January 6th insurrection follows this model. Several people had been infected with a belief virus that the election was stolen, that the Constitution had been subverted by some underhanded deeds. Infected with this virus, they sought to preserve and protect the integrity of the elections. They stormed the Capitol building. Because of this belief virus, they believed that they were doing something noble and wise, protecting the Constitution, when in fact they were sacrificing the Constitution and serving the interests of others seeking to corrupt the election process for their own ends. They were in Kantian terms being treated as a means only by people using lies to subvert their reasoning so that, while they thought they were serving noble ends, they were sacrificing those ends to benefit those who had infected them with this virus. On the Kantian account, any action that subverts a person's beliefs so as to manipulate their reasoning process counts as a lie. At least, it has the same moral wrongness, presenting only a part of the story. Even if all the information is true, would be wrong on the Kantian account when the information presented aims to manipulate the victim into acting in ways that they would not act if they were fully informed. Now here it's important to note that for Kant, lying is wrong in itself, independent of the consequences. When you lie to somebody, you subvert their authority to direct their own life. You are replacing their control over their life with yours. So imagine a parent who lies to one of their college-age children. The child wants to be a professional writer and has submitted some stories to professional publications. One of those stories gets accepted. The parent intercepts the letter, burns it, and tells the student that they were rejected. And this is done to benefit the child. Let's assume that it actually does benefit the child. On this deontological account, the fact that the lie produces good consequences doesn't matter. The child is perfectly legitimate to complain that this is my life, not yours. You don't have a right to make those decisions for me. This is a perfectly sensible Kantian response. Liars attempt to run somebody else's life and subvert that person's ability to run their own life. So this is a brief and superficial account of Kant's theory. Getting into the details would take a lot of time. In the interest of time, I've sought to look at other deontological theories that are perhaps more applicable to one's life. And in the videos that follow, I'll look at John Locke's social contract theory.